Hello everyone, Johnny Miner here, and today we're starting a new Let's Learn Japanese with series, as per the title, Pokémon FireRed. And yeah, wanted to play this since now finally a mainline Pokémon of one of the older ones is also on Switch 2. And so yeah, wanted to play this. You might be wondering why FireRed specifically. Well, it was actually also my version back in the day, but that's not the reason, the actual reason. The main reasons are that there are slightly more exclusive Pokémons that we haven't already seen in Pokémon Snap. Oh yeah, slightly more new Pokémon that way. And also that the kanji on the title, on the box art technically, on the title we'll see also, we can see already it on the icon. Yeah, this one makes more sense to study. And so yeah, first we'll start with the title itself. I'll actually open the game to show it. But yeah, then immediately after we'll first and foremost study the kanji and then actually start playing. But yeah, without further ado, let's open it. And yeah, let's see this intro. And yeah, the recreation of that classic opening, the originals. But yeah, as we can see here on the title screen, we have the title. First and foremost, we have Pokétto Monster, and then under it, Pokémon in our Latin characters. But yeah, Pokétto. Yeah, here, by the way, notice that last time when we played actually Pokémon Snap, it was Pokémon, also straight up in katakana. We have the full name, Pokétto Monster. Yeah, we don't want them to go away. Pokétto, of course, from pocket. The only difference being the doubling of the consonant, unlike English. The O at the end, because the T can't stay on its own. Also the accent, usually you would say pocket in English, it moves in Japanese, so be careful. Pokétto, as mentioned, low, high, and then low, low. Then we have monster, yeah, it is a monster from English. Yeah, fortunately by doing it this way, I have to then repress it, but yeah, monster from English monster. The only changes are the additional U, because the S can stay on its own, barely heard if at all in this case, because it's between a voice consonants, so it's even closer to English. And then long A for because yeah, Japanese doesn't have that sound, so A is the closest vowel. And then long, similar to English variants that don't have the R sounds. The typical example I always make is car, which becomes car. Then, as soon as we get back to it, we have fire, I think we've actually seen it in... this was in Kirby's Adventure, most likely. There I think it had a different spelling. But here we have its most common actually way to pronounce it, to write it and pronounce it in Japanese. So yeah, Fire. So without the lengthening of the vowel, without changing the A into Ya to make it, because influenced by the previous E. That's the variant I'm pretty sure we have seen before. But yeah, for the rest, everything already mentioned applies on its own accent on the Fa, just like in English. And then, of course, we have Reddo. Red from English. Only differences are the doubling of the consonant and the additional O, because the D can stay on its own. We add O as a reminder because otherwise we would change the consonant, and yeah. There are some exceptions that do so, but yeah, nowadays they prefer not doing so. Like we can see for Pokétto and then Reddo. The accent is just like in English. Above FireRed, we have the kanji we want to study. And so, let me actually do this though before. Okay. We do that. And then, let me quickly show you. And yeah, I've already opened it. This is our kanji. Before studying it, we want to check out its components. First and foremost, unsurprisingly, considering that, yeah, as you might have guessed, above FireRed, so yeah, it's the color red, and it's also the name of the original game Pokémon Aka, as we see, even though we have already mentioned the color in general in the previous series, also in Super Mario World. But yeah, as a reminder, this kanji we have already studied. I think during Kirby's Adventure, but we'll check. We can check. But yeah, first and foremost, a reminder, yeah, this is simply the kanji for fire. And yeah, originally straight up a pictogram of a fire, but yeah, this we have already studied. We have even studied its variant at the bottom of kanji with, which is 4 commas, this one. Here, in our new kanji, it's slightly different, as we'll see, but luckily not too much, so that will be relatively easy to remember. The new part that we haven't studied yet, and is also one of the reasons, apart from the kanji for red, why we're studying this. I'm playing the red version, the FireRed version, is the other component, which is this one. Yeah, quite important. We start with the stroke order. You might remember the kanji for person. And it's worth mentioning, as we see, both for its origin and also to write this one, because yeah, the stroke order is left to right, and then top to bottom slanted, and then top to bottom slanted here. We'll wait another cycle, and then we'll go through it again. Yeah, left to right, top to bottom slanted, top to bottom slanted. And yeah, the second and third strokes are straight up the kanji for person. The only addition is that stroke, that first stroke in the middle, we could say. And yeah, funny enough, as we can see also in its historical forms, and yeah, it's straight up another pictogram of a person. it says here facing forward. But yeah, in general, it's a person with these also arms instead of just the legs. And yeah, by the way, facing forward compared to the kanji for person, which actually is the profile of a person, as it mentions also here. But yeah, that one, the one for person, we'll check in a second. I don't want, well, actually, at this point, I quickly check it. Even though I'm pretty sure it goes away for a second here by doing so, but yeah. Yeah, we studied the kanji for fire in Kirby's Adventure. The one for person in Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Yeah, it makes sense, actually. And so, yeah. Of course, for those who haven't watched those series and want to check the explanation of those kanji there, or of course you could use all the various resources online, the books and so on. But yeah, if you want to check or review those kanji in our series, you can find in the descriptions of the playlists of those series the specific parts in which we studied them. So yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, this is a person facing forward on the other hand. And so yeah, we have these also the arms that way. Yeah, other explain it. It was used to be explained as a person with outstretched arms, but yeah, they're actually regular arms, more like regular arms according to the older forms. And only then later, the explanation is based on later forms of the kanji, like the the contemporary one. But yeah, you can actually use it as a mnemonic. Also because actually the meaning of this kanji is not person, but it's big, large, huge, as also we have seen there in Chinese. Yeah, as we can see here, with all these Japanese readings, we'll start with the strictly Japanese ones, as actually you might remember some of them. We have technically O key is the fundamental one. And yeah, it's the E adjective, which means big, large, great, and other extended meanings, accented the adjective. Notice that when written with kana instead of the kanji, you have to write the long O with O. And yeah, that's actually because originally it was actually O ho, so actually O po. But yeah, then because of the evolution of the language, it became O wo technically, and then simply long O. We have seen that before, especially with the conjugation of the verbs in u, which were actually in pu, and so then became u, just as a reminder. Can be also found as o, without the key part at the end, as a prefix with the same meanings, large, big, great, and other extended meanings. It's worth mentioning also another reading, strictly Japanese reading. Here's not mentioned, but there's also, in addition to O key, there's the na variant, na adjective variant, used only when you used before a noun, and so with the na, okina. I'll quickly show it here. Yeah, as you can see, I checked the accent, just to be completely sure of reddo, and the other words before it. Yeah, oki here. Yeah, no, I wanted to actually search okina. Yeah, here it is. Same meaning in, so yeah, there's just this variant. The accent, be careful because it moves on the first O. Well, not the second one, of course, because it's actually just a longer vowel nowadays. Yeah, on the first one, on the first more, okina. After that, we have the final reading present also here, which is oini, also accent on the first more, so be careful. And yeah, it's a peculiar form that means very, as you can tell by the ni at the end, it's actually an adverb. Because yeah, adverbs, not all of them, but many have ni at the end. Could be seen as an adverbial particle. I wonder if potentially actually isn't the continuative form of the classical copula nari. Could be, but I unfortunately haven't found a confirmation either way. Yeah, oini means very, very much, greatly, even better, so you can remember that why it's closer to the meaning of the kanji. Yeah, then considerably, highly, exceedingly, and so on. Then we have the Chinese readings, starting with this one. I can actually quickly show. Yeah, there are two mainly used, as shown also by the plugin. Dai is the fundamental one, and also used as, if I put it on the kanji itself, yeah, it's used also as a prefix for, again, large, big, great, and so on. Of course, more used with Chinese words, this one. It's worth mentioning, by the way, that it's also used, well, as a suffix, technically sized as big as the size of, or for university, because, yeah, literally it would be big school, daigaku, the term for university. I quickly show it, even though we haven't studied the kanji for school. Well, school, this one is to learn in general, actually, but then also school. Daigaku, an accent, and surprisingly, it's a Chinese compound. The other fundamental reading is Tai. And yeah, sometimes used in compounds. Want to see if I can actually find the one here. Let me quickly check here. Well, for example, yeah, not the one that I had in mind there, but it actually let me see, a good one. Oh yeah, the fundamental one is Dai, and you can see also, as can be seen also here, the majority of these Chinese compounds have Dai. But yeah, okay, this one is a good one, for example, which is a pretty common one. Taikai literally would be mass meeting, and yeah, unaccented is a Chinese compound, as mentioned. Yeah, literally mass meeting, so yeah, then makes a convention, rally, conference, assembly, gathering in general. by extension can also be a tournament, competition, contest, meet in that sense. But yeah, that's an example of using tie instead of die. And yeah, that should be it, because yeah, those are the fundamental ones used nowadays in Japanese. Technically, there are some variants without the additional e. And yeah, by the way, those who know Chinese, it's ta in Chinese, so yeah. Those variants present technically also in Japanese come from that. But yeah, nowadays we use dai mostly. In some cases also tai, as we have seen. But yeah. And that's it for this kanji. And yeah, so we can finally come to this one. The one for red. We'll start actually with the original form, because otherwise you might wonder why did we check the kanji for big. Okay, let me quickly close this. Okay. Yeah, that's because actually it was present in the original form of the character. And yeah, there was literally that kanji for person, the person facing forward. Or I'd say actually in this case could be while often in compound kanji, that part simply means person. In this case could be straight up pig, because then yeah, in addition we have fire then at the bottom. And yeah, so literally could be a big fire. And so yeah, the color of said fire, and so yeah, red, our fire red of this game we're about to play. And yeah, so actually the original form would be this one. Quickly show it big, even though nowadays it's not used. This would be the original form of the kanji. And then it's simply, it got simplified. The man at the top became, practically it looks like the kanji of earth, or you could say, even though it hasn't the first stroke longer like it should be, the one for person, the other one, yeah, no, it's simply a simplification of the man. And yeah, when you keep that in mind, that origin, then you can see why it became like that. While at the bottom, we have a simplification of the kanji of fire. And yeah, so we can finally see it properly here. And yeah, so the earth at the top is actually the kanji for big, we have just studied. The one at the bottom is slightly different, but yeah, it's clearer, that one, that it's from fire, a simplification of that. And so we can actually check the stroke order. Lucky the first one, it's useful to have studied the kanji for earth before, as you write it the same way. Then you have to be careful, because it's one of those kanji that where we write the part in the middle, and then we add the commas to the left and to the right. But yeah, as soon as it finishes, we'll start it again. Oh yeah, here, left to right, top to bottom, left to right, the kanji of earth. Then slanted, top to bottom, comma, and comma. Left to right, top to bottom, left to right, slanted, top to bottom with this part, comma, comma. And yeah, so yeah, this kanji, originally literally big fire, means red, as mentioned. And yeah, we've actually seen its several of its pronunciations before. We found them straight up in games, of course, being the color red. And yeah, the fundamental one is aka. We start with the strictly Japanese ones again, because we have seen them. And yeah, aka, accent on the first syllable, the first mora, high-low. Red, crimson, scarlet, technically then depends also. We can distinguish between those with different kanji, actually shown by the plugin there. But yeah, this is the fundamental one, and yeah, in general, this is the one used for red in general. Then we have akai. Be careful because unlike other e-adjectives from names of colors, this one is unaccented. The other ones we have seen, for example, shiro, white. Not studied its kanji, I think, but we have seen the word shiro, also accented on the first mora, high-low. The adjective is accented, shiroi. Ao, we have also seen blue, the whole matter about blue-green, but mostly blue nowadays. Aoi, also accented. This one is an exception. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. But yeah, you have to remember that unfortunately akai is unaccented. After that, we should have, well, we technically have some verbs from it. And yeah, technically they are also present here, so yeah. We have akaramu. This one accented, so yeah, even more so weird that only the adjective is unaccented. To become red, to redden, so in the sense to blush. Intransitive. And then we have also akarameru, the transitive form, so to blush, to redden. And yeah, notice again the intransitive in u, the transitive in eru. And yeah, so another couple of verbs that work that way. Pretty easy. And then we have only, technically we have more than one Chinese reading. Yeah, as it mentions here, the fundamental one is seki. Don't know if actually used also on its own. Don't think so. Yeah, if I highlight seki, then we get other words. Makes sense. So yeah, only in I'd say mostly, if not exclusively, in Chinese compounds. We technically have also the reading shaku, and it's actually mentioned among the readings of the Joyo kanji list, the common use kanji list, the everyday use, to be precise, kanji list. But yeah, actually less used, barely used. Immediately comes to mind. I think I've heard it, for example, in the name of it was Shakugan no Shana, if I recall correctly, an anime. Don't know if also manga in that case or something else, like novels or so on. Yeah, it can come up, but yeah, the fundamental one is seki in this case. So yeah, first and foremost, remember that. Other than the strictly Japanese readings, which are quite used on the other hand, especially the one for the color and the adjective. But yeah, with that, let's say we can actually close this, and we can go back to the game. And so I actually press the start button as it showed at the top. And yeah, at first we have these screens to go through, before being able to start the game. So yeah, let's start with the explanation. And yeah, being an RPG, we'll have several writings, especially at first, then throughout, but yeah, even more so at first, but yeah, we have to go through them. On the top left, we have the name of what this is. Sosa, Setsume. First and foremost, we have Sosa. I think we might have seen it before. Yeah, I think we have seen it before in a previous series, don't remember which one. Sosa is a Chinese compound. This one is accent on the first syllable. We could say first mora, doesn't change. So high, low, low. It's technically a noun, which means operation, management, handling. Management by extension also in the sense of manipulating or manipulation. But yeah, in our case, technically would be handling the correct translation in this case. We'll see in a second in which sense. Then we have Setsume. I think unaccented, but we'll check. It's another Chinese compound. And it's unaccented. It means explanation. Also by exposition, description, account, caption, legend, technically. Of course, in the legend in those senses. But yeah, the fundamental meaning, I'd say, explanation. So in our case, literally would be handling. We could say better controls. Controls explanation. And yeah, so that's why we get it at the start. On the top right, we have an icon of the A button. And after that, we have Tsugi. We have actually seen this word before, also in the previous series. It's technically a noun. Next, following, but yeah, more often than not used then as a noun, which takes the possessive particle no, the genitive case particle, as says the online dictionary, to make, in practice, an adjective, even though, strictly speaking, noun plus no particle. But yeah, in practice, like an adjective. So yeah, next, following, subsequent, something. In our case, simply press A to go to the next part. In our case, will be screen. But yeah. And then, in the middle, we have the actual explanation, the first part. Iroiro na botan o yoku tsukau junban de setsume shimasu. First, we have iroiro. We've actually seen this before. Funny enough, I think even in Pokémon Snap. But yeah, iro on its own, as a reminder, means color. Accented on the last syllable on its own. We see that, unfortunately, that's not the case here in a second. Color. But yeah, by doubling it, like in this case, we could say that first it became of various colors, potentially, would make sense. But yeah, nowadays it's used simply for various, a variety of, all sorts of, many different. Na adjective, as we can see here, straight up we have na after it to then attach it, to make it follow by a noun and modify the noun. So yeah, various something. As a reminder, it can also be used as an adverb. It's one of those adverbs that takes the to particle. The to particle, its fundamental meaning is with. In other cases, with names of nouns that mean people and so on, with someone. But also with in the sense actually of the with. In the sense of a quotation particle. So yeah, with literally, and then the quotation. But yeah, in our case, it can also be used with certain words to make an adverb. So yeah, then variously, in various ways, in many ways. But yeah, in our case, we have the adjective, so yeah, various, and then we have botan. Botan we have seen so many times, especially in Pokemon Snap, but also other series, unsurprisingly, since it's the word button. Not strictly from English, and that explains also the difference in the pronunciation. And also, by the way, is unaccented botan. Yeah, it's actually from Portuguese, botão. Botão with the nasal, and so yeah, you can see why then it became botan in Japanese. Yeah, an accented button, of course, in our case, the buttons for video games. So yeah, unsurprising that it shows up so often. Then we have the object particle o, written as well and pronounced as such in careful speech and also singing. Then we have yoku. Yoku, technically, is it comes from i, yoi. I is usually the form used on its own nowadays, but it actually comes from yoi, which is the one used still nowadays, but when conjugating the adjective. Like in this case, we drop the i to add ku, the adverbial, to make the adverbial form of the adjective. And in our case, actually used as an adverb. It's also used for further conjugation, as we have seen before. But yeah, in our case, simply the adverb. In other, usually would be, fundamentally would be from good, and so nicely, properly, well, skillfully also. But, like in this case, it can also have the most likely extended meaning of frequently, often. So yeah, you simply have to remember that this yoku is used, funny enough, frequently, as the adverb for frequently, often. Well, in this case, actually, could be in our sense of properly. Depends on the rest. Could be based on what is after. But we'll see when we fully translate. After that, we have tsukau, a verb, which means to use, to make use of, to put to use. Other extended meanings from to use, but yeah, the fundamental meaning is to use. Yeah, that's why I was wondering, often use, properly use. Yeah, so we'll have to see the rest of the sentence to see which meaning we use in this case, funny enough. After that, technically, we have Jumban. So my guess is that actually this verb, because then we have Jumban, which I'll mention quickly. We'll check it out. It's a noun. It's a Chinese compound, as usual. Unaccented, unsurprisingly, like most of those. So, my guess would be, unless they somehow simply put that first part on its own, but I doubt this should be a full sentence. The part up to tsukau included, up to the verb, is actually a relative clause referred to the following name, noun, which is Jumban, as mentioned. The order in which would be my guess in translation then. But yeah, we'll see in a second. Then we have the particle de. In this case, the most likely translation is with, as in the means, with the order, and so on. But yeah, after that we have Setsume again. Notice, by the way, Setsume I. But yeah, E usually pronounced as long E nowadays. Some still pronounce it as Mei, as A. So in our case, Setsume. But yeah, Setsume, unaccented, as we have seen, explanation. A noun, but we can make the corresponding verb by adding the verb suru, to do. So yeah, literally to do an explanation. So yeah, to explain. Suru is a completely irregular verb, unfortunately. So we have to remember that we can change suru into si to make its continuative form. In this case, continuative form required because then we add mas, the auxiliary verb. So technically, by the way, when you add mas, you technically are making a compound verb. But yeah, the auxiliary verb used to make for the polite form of verbs. And yeah, so used in polite speech. And so yeah, the full translation would then be something along these lines. An implied I, as in the narrator, whoever is speaking, will, yeah, I'd say, in this case, because the verb in Japanese, the present form of the verb in Japanese can also be used for a future, a simple future. And so yeah, in our case, I'd say better I will explain, literally I will do an explanation. Literally in Japanese then we would have with, we could adapt it then as of. The order in which you, most likely implied, use, you as in the player, or you will use I'd say often better than at this point. Technical could still be properly. Yeah, I'd say better often in this case then. You'll often use various buttons. And yeah, so we can proceed. And yeah, here we start with the explanations of all the buttons. So yeah, we have this part here. First, let's start at the top. In addition to the A button with Tsugi we have then the B button, the icon of the B button with Modoru. And yeah, this verb we have seen before, also literally in a game, in a graphic of a game in Kirby's Adventure. It means to turn or go back, to return, accented. And so yeah, B, in this case, to return to the previous page of this explanation. I'll quickly press it just to show it, and yeah. That's that. And yeah. And then, of course, start the explanations of the various buttons in general. We have the D-pad, first and foremost. And there it says, Joge sayu ni shujinko o ugokashimasu. And yeah, first and foremost we have this Joge sayu. A Chinese compound technically, but a big one in this case. It's 4 kanji. And yeah, actually would be pretty easy, even easier if we saw it with the kanji. Unfortunately, and funny enough, we have studied 2 of them, the first 2. Because yeah, Jo, up, Ge, down. And yeah, those are the one we have studied. Notice that in this case we use Ge instead of Ka, even though Ka is technically the one most used for down. But yeah, Ge shows up from time to time. Sa, left, Yu, right. So yeah, up and down, left and right, or top and bottom, left and right. Then we have the particle ni, tu, as in 2 words technically. In this case, you see in which sense when we get to the main verb, but it's pretty easy when we see that. After that, we have shujinko. Actually, quite an important word for video games. Because yeah, shujinko is a Chinese compound, but one made of 3 kanji. So unsurprisingly, actually, we have a different accent. In this case, the accent is on the G. So low, high. Notice that the shi and small u is a single more. So yeah, low, high, and everything else low. Shujinko means protagonist. Even better, technically, main character, as based on it's the kanji of this Chinese compound. Yeah, then by extension, of course, protagonist, main character, so hero or heroine. Oh yeah, protagonist. Then we have the object particle O. And then ugokashimasu. And yeah, finally we have the verb, the main verb. Ugokasu should be accented, if I recall correctly. Yes, because ugoku, I think we have seen that before, means to move, and should also be accented, as it is. Notice again the intransitive in U, the transitive in asu. So yeah, most likely the transitive is actually a classical form of the causative to make someone or something move. And so yeah, then it becomes to move something, someone, something. In our case, of course, to move our protagonist. It's a verb colon verb, so we can change the U into E. to make the quantitative form, and then simply to add mass again. So yeah, the translation is simply implied, of course, with the icon of the button to the left. By using this button, you move the protagonist up, down, left, and right. And then we have the second part. Mata, Komo, Kuo, Erabu, Tokini, Tsukaimasu. Then we have at the start Mata. I think we might have actually studied its kanji. Let me quickly check. So that I can tell you. I feel like we might. Yeah, we have actually studied it because it was a part of other part of a component of other kanji. Literally, the kanji itself originally was a hand, but we have seen that when used with this meaning, with this reading, mata, and actually as a kanji of its own, it has the meanings again. Should be unaccented, sorry. Was about to say accented on the last syllable, but yeah, unfortunately, as a reminder, that's the confusion might come up because when used on their own, words accented on the last syllable sound the same as unaccented ones, and only if you add then a particle you can hear the difference. And this one is, by the way, an exception because of a reason, but we'll see that when the time comes. Nowadays, actually used, usually written with kana alone, so yeah. But yeah, it means again, once more, once again, and so on. Can also mean also to as well. So yeah, I'd say in this case better something like in addition. And yeah, by the way, I don't think I mentioned we have seen it, we studied its kanji also in Kirby's Adventure. But yeah, in addition, I'd say, in this case, we have Komoku. I have the feeling we might have seen it, or maybe I'm simply misremembering. But yeah, either way, it's a Chinese compound, unaccented, luckily, like most of those. Well, technically, there are more than one. In this case, most likely it's the most common word, which is item, as in heading, category, clause. Can also be used for head word, yeah, dictionary, encyclopedia, and so on. Entry. Technically, in our case, I'd say entry, because as we'll see, most certainly, it's actually referring to options in menus. So yeah, you could say a generic item technically, again, but implied in menus. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb erabu, which means to choose, to select, to pick out. Accented. Okay, so erabu. After that, we have toki. Literally would be a noun with the meaning time, hour, moment. by extension also occasion, case, accent on the last syllable. But, so yeah, literally would be a verb followed by a noun, so yeah, actually a relative clause up to that verb included, referred to that noun and modifying it. Literally would be then at the time, moment, or occasion, case in which, and then the action of the verb, it's actually used and can be translated in English simply as when choosing in our case. After it we have the particle ni, and so by the way we can hear the accent. Well, technically we could hear its accent toki ni. Most likely, let's say that it might be actually kept fully low because the verb is accented, but of course the accent that matters the most in this case is the one of the verb. But either way, yeah, no, on its own would be toki ni, low, high, low. We had the particle ni, which means at a specific time, and yeah, in our case, at the time, hour, moment, occasion, case, in which. And then, last but not least, we have tsukaimasu, again from tsukau, to use. We change the u into, it's a verb colon verb, which change the u into i. To make the continuative form, and then add mas. And yeah, so the full the translation of this part is, in addition, I'd say for that mata here, it's, we could also say, so yeah, the button we can see on the left, it's used literally at the moment in which you choose items, as in entries on a menu. We can simply translate in addition, it's used, you use it when choosing items / entries. Okay, I'd say also considering that it's better to take our break here, so we can. I can cool off. When we'll be back, we'll continue with these. Hopefully, we'll go through this whole explanation, and also you might know that after that there's the actual intro found also in the originals. So yeah, hope we'll be able to get through all that. And so save, actually. Not sure how much we'll be able to play beyond that, but we'll see. But yeah, taking the break is smarter here. So yeah, see you in around 5 minutes. And we're back. Yeah, so we can continue. I forgot to mention the accent of Joge Sayu. Unfortunately, it's not present in the online dictionary, and in the meantime, during the pause, I got also the physical dictionary and checked also there, and yeah, it's not present also there. It's worth mentioning that, yeah, Joge on its own, top and bottom, up and down and so on, is accented on the first syllable. It's one of those Chinese compounds accented on the first syllable, ora. Sayu also. But regardless of that, my guess would be that it's accented on the first mora of the second part. Technically, you can divide it into two, Joge and Sayu, as mentioned here. My guess would be the accent on the sa, even if it were unaccented, not this case. So actually, we keep its accent. That would be my guess, but unfortunately, we can't verify it. But yeah, let's proceed with the A button. Kette suru shiraberu hanashi o susumeru toki ni tsukaimasu. And yeah, first and foremost, we have kette. This one we have seen before. In more than a game, I think. Unsurprisingly, because yeah, it's a noun, a Chinese compound as usual, unaccented like most of those. It means decision, determination. And so yeah, we can then add the verb suru, literally to do a decision, to make a decision, determination. And so yeah, to decide, to determine. So yeah, to decide. Technically, this one is kind of despite then there's a space. We could also have added a comma. In a better structure, here it's listed like this, and technically can be done even though usually in Japanese you would actually connect these words with the tari form of a verb. But it isn't here, most likely also to make it easier for the poor kids playing this game, and the explanation is towards them, of course. So yeah, most likely also for that reason, but yeah. So actually here, as we'll see, is technically a list, a non-exhaustive list. But yeah, after that we have shiraberu, another verb. Should be accented, but we'll check. And funny enough, considering that shiraberu means to examine, to look up, to investigate, to check up, and so on, to inquire, to search. And yeah, accented. Then we have again another space, so yeah, again another interruption. Again, even without the forms mentioned, at least I would have added at least a comma to make it clear, but it works either way. Then we have hanashi, which comes from hanasu, the verb which means to talk. to speak, to converse, to chat, and accented. Also by extension then to tell, to explain, and so on. To speak, as in to speak a language also, but the fundamental meanings, I'd say to speak, also in the sense of a language, to talk. Here, it's a verb colon verb, so we can change the U into I to make the continuative form. In this case, actually, so the corresponding noun, hanashi, should be accent on the last syllable. Yes, it is, following the rules. And yeah, so it means simply the noun talk, speech, chat, conversation. Other extended meanings, but yeah, the fundamental ones are these. But in our case, the conversation, the talk. Then we have the object particle o. We have the verb susumeru. I think we have seen before in the previous games susumu, which should be unaccented. Well, susumeru is unaccented, so I'm pretty sure also susumu we have seen. Susumu, the intransitive in u, the transitive here in eru. So yeah, again, a couple of verbs with that structure. It means to advance, and yeah, susumu intransitive, to advance. Someone advances, moves forward. In our case here, to advance, to move forward, to move something forward. Again, in our case, to advance the conversation. Then we have again the structure tokini, so yeah, at the moment, at the time in which, we can simply translate it as when. And then again at the end, tsukaimasu, as usual, so yeah. You use it, or the button, even better, let's say in this case, it's implied, it's used. When. And then we have actually this list of verbs. When confirming, if we use when confirming, at the moment in which you confirm, you examine, you advance a conversation. Yeah, so those are the uses of the A button. Then we have the B button, the icon of it, and it says Modoru, Yameru Nado, Kanseru wa Konobotan desu. Funny enough, for this one we have a different structure. First and foremost, we have Modoru, as we have already seen above, funny enough, on the top right, to return, to go back. In our case, to go back to the previous page. Yameru, we have studied its kanji before. Yameru means to stop an activity, to cease, to discontinue, to end, to quit. Yeah, the fundamental meaning to stop, also based on the kanji we have studied. By extension also to cancel, to abandon, to give up. But yeah, fundamental meaning to stop. Then we have nado, which means etc. and the like, and so forth. Yeah, so we have go back, to stop, and so forth. Then we have canceru. As you, if you remember your, but you can also notice it because of the difference in how it's written. Canceru is in katakana, unlike most words here which are in hiragana. We studied both hiragana when we played the Super Mario Bros. The first game, katakana with Super Mario Bros. 2 as in the Lost Levels, if you want to check them. But yeah, Canceru is from English, cancel. The differences are this kya, to replicate the sound e with when we have the k before it. Otherwise, usually you don't do this, but yeah, with the k you get this kya. Then we have only the additional u at the end, because r can stay on its own, and also Japanese r instead of l, because yeah, English l can be a variant of Japanese r, and even if it weren't, it's still the closest, the most similar consonant present in Japanese. Most now pronounce Japanese r as tap flap, ru, ru, rari, ru, re, do. Oh yeah, in our case, canceru, cancel. Technically, its noun also would be cancellation, but yeah, then we can add suru to make to cancel, and of course, Japanese keeps only one word from English, and yeah, of course, the easiest one, canceru, the basic form of the verb, not cancellation. Luckily, the accent is just like in English on the cancel, and so on the kya. Then we have the topic particle wa, written as ha. After that, we have kono, part of the Kosoado series, close to both the speaker and the listener. So far from the speaker, close to the listener, far from both. Do the interrogative, Koso are usually unaccented, do accented on the do itself. With no, we get the demonstrative adjective, so this or these. Well, in this case, we have no, because even without a we can specify the plural with pluralizing suffixes and other ways. But usually words are simply kept without those, well, unless we want to specify the plural. But yeah, a word on its own can technically have be singular or plural. In this case, it's clear that it's singular because yeah, it's a single button. So yeah, this followed by a noun. So yeah, the adjective this, and the noun is botan. Unsurprisingly, so yeah, this button. Last but not least, we have des, the copula in its polite form. Unsurprisingly, since we have we have spoken here in polite form so far. So yeah, also this one. So yeah, as for the full translation is as for cancel, I'd say cancelling, better in this case, cancelling. Like, I would add, going back, stopping, and so forth, and so on. It's this button. So in the sense that yeah, you use this button to do cancelling of those kinds and so on. Oh yeah, we can proceed. Yeah, we have more buttons here. I think this should be the last part of... yeah, literally we wouldn't have any more buttons then apart from... these are the buttons. Okay. Okay, we should be back. Not sure what happened. OBS stopped on its own without any warning, only the warning after, but never mind that. As I was saying, yeah, this should be the last page of these buttons, since these are the remaining buttons usable to play games on the Game Boy Advance. First and foremost, we have the Start button. It says, Menu o hiraku toki ni kono botan o tsukaimasu. And yeah, we have first and foremost menu, and yeah, unsurprisingly, from English menu, or better, actually, from French, as you might guess, from its pronunciation, menu, also with this longer vowel. Although, unfortunately, the accent may be influenced by English, is actually on the me. So yeah, be careful. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb hiraku. We've seen it. It means to open. Unfortunately, I haven't found. I haven't searched for that article about the distinction between the two. But in this case, anyway, we have hiraku for to open, because otherwise hiraku is both intransitive and transitive, as a reminder. Otherwise, we would use aku, akeru, intransitive and transitive, respectively. There's a difference in the way you open. You use the different verbs according to that, between hiraku or aku/akeru. But yeah, we'll check that out again. Here we have hiraku anyway. Yeah, accented, unlike aku and akeru, which should be unaccented. I quickly check just to be sure. Let me see. I should have searched for the other one. Let me quickly search then akeru. Because yeah, unfortunately, by the way, when written with kanji, aku and hiraku are written the same. Yeah, akeru accented. So also aku. But yeah, open. Then we have a tokini again. Kono botan, this button. The object particle o tsukaimasu, so to use in polite form. You in this case, then actually it's better, since we have explicited this button, you, and implied you use this button when opening the menu. Then we have select. Dougu no irekae ya taisetsu na mono o toroku shite tsukaimasu. Funny enough, without the period at the end there, but yeah, I guess only because they didn't have a space enough to put it. But yeah, as we can see it above and below, usually it's used. And it's here a small square because of the limitations of the Game Boy Advance, but usually a small circle. But yeah, first and foremost we have dogu, which means tool. Yeah, usually tool implementing instrument, utensil, apparatus, device, technica. But yeah, I'd say the fundamental meaning, tool. In our case, actually better in the case of games, item. it's a Chinese compound, but be careful because actually, according to the online dictionary plus plugin combo, it's accented on the last syllable, so be careful. I'll quickly search also on the physical dictionary. So yeah, when used on its own, or also in this case with no, because that makes unaccented also words accent on the last syllable, it's its rule. No worries, but if we added a different particle, then we would hear the accent. So yeah, be careful. Apparently an exception, but I'll quickly check it in the physical dictionary just to be completely sure, since I have already opened it. Yep, there it is. Oh yeah, in our case, no worries, it becomes unaccented. We started with I pick, I introduce it. I don't think we'll actually pick it today because I doubt we'll get to that point, considering all these parts before it. But yeah, as a preview, I'll actually stick. I'll follow the manga, the Pokemon Special manga, and so pick Bulbasaur as my starter. And yeah, so also our rival will have Charmander then, as we'll see. But so yeah, my plan is going for Bulbasaur. Unfortunate in a way, since we have actually seen already its name in Pokemon Snap, but yeah, it will be a reminder of that, and then we'll see the name of its evolutions. But yeah, I'm going for that. Usually on my own, I would usually go for Squirtle. Yeah, as a kid, I'm pretty sure when I played this on my own, FireRed, I picked Squirtle. We definitely did so when we played the original Blue together with my sister. We only had that. And yeah, there we picked Squirtle for sure. Oh yeah, I actually followed the manga also when naming our protagonist and rival. So red and green. But yeah, I'll pick Bulbasaur. Oh yeah, let's go back to the explanation so we can actually get closer to, hopefully at least get to the part when we'll be able to save, so that next time we can actually start playing the game. But yeah, we have seen Dogu, Tool, so item actually in this case. Then we have the possessive particle no. Then we have Irekae. I think we might have seen that before in Pokemon Snap. Oh yeah, it comes from Irekairu, a compound verb. I actually have to check this Kairu, because I think it's actually unaccented usually. And it is. Technically, it would use a different kanji than the usual one used for Kairu. I've mentioned before that Kairu, the unaccented one, the accented one, and so actually on the first syllable, Kairu, on the first mora, Ae counts as a diphthong in that case, and so that's why it moves. That one means to return, to go back, to go home. Yeah, Kairu means to change. With this specific kanji would mean to replace. But yeah, here we have Irekairu, well, Irekae from Irekairu, accented, but this one actually, Ka-e, are counted as different moras, as different syllables. So not always that's followed. Maybe also to distinguish it from Kairu. accented on K. But yeah, be careful. The original verb is unaccented. This one, the compound is accented. But yeah, first we actually have ireru. We have studied this kanji, funny enough, in the previous series. To put in to insert. Okay, I want to quickly check. Okay. Yeah, to put in, also to technically, to let, to take, to bring in, to insert. Unaccented, as mentioned. It's a ru verb, it's an verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form. In this case, required to then attach the second verb part of the compound, kairu, as mentioned. Also a ru verb, it's an verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form of that. And so actually of this compound also. And so the corresponding noun. Oh yeah, irekairu means to literally to put in, to insert, and replace. So yeah, the final meaning is to replace, as in, yeah, you put something in to replace something else with it. So yeah, to further specify how you do this replacing. But yeah, in English we simply will translate it as to replace, to substitute, to switch, to change. So yeah, the corresponding noun is irekae. Should actually be then accented, and it isn't, so yeah. Funny enough, apparently yeah, be careful, because yeah, it doesn't follow the rule in this case, because yeah, we've seen the verb, the compound becomes accented for some unknown reason, but then the continuative form is unaccented, like kairu or on its own. But yeah, irekae simply means replacement, substitution, change. Then we have the particle ya, used for such things as and, used for non-exhaustive lists. To make an exhaustive list, you would use the particle to, as mentioned. So yeah, technically with that and that. So yeah, in translation, simply the first noun and the second noun. Be careful though, because and with verbs is actually done with other forms, like the te form. But yeah, here we have yeah, so yeah, and or such things as, and then followed by another noun. Well, first an adjective, taisutsu. It's actually a compound, a Chinese compound. So luckily unaccented, like most of those. It means taisetsu, important, significant, serious, crucial. By extension, then precious, valuable, dear, cherished, beloved. Technically also careful. Can also be used adverbially, of course. In this case, being an adjective with ni. But yeah, in our case, the fundamental translation, the fundamental meaning is important, and then all the other ones by extension. Important with the na, and so actually as the adjective plus noun, And yeah, noun, which is mono, thing as in object, in this case. We have even studied its kanji. That one, for sure, in Kirby's Adventure, since it's in the title. But yeah, so important things. Yeah, the usual key items from Pokemon. Then we have the object particle O. Then we have Toroku. I think we have seen it before. It's another Chinese compound. I think also an accented, but we'll see. No, I think we actually have seen a different, potentially another word similar, but not this one. Yeah, Toroku, unaccented. Yeah, it's like most Chinese compounds. Means registration, accession, technically, so also register, entry, record, subscription. Fundamental meaning, registration. And we can make the verb with suru, like in our case here. And so to make a registration, and so to register it. Suru here conjugated it's the form. It's completely irregular, so we have to remember that suru becomes ste. Suru, by the way, unaccented on its own. And yes, also in the form. The E of she is barely heard if at all because it's between unvoiced consonants, so ste. The form, in this case used, could be technically do the action of the verb and, yeah, the and mentioned before. Here I'd say actually better by doing the action of the verb, while doing the action of the verb, and so on. By in this case, let's say, but we'll see in a second. And yeah, last but not least, we have tsukaimasu again. So yeah, you use imply this button. Or better, in this case, would be better to translate it maybe as it's the button implied it's used. By registrating would be literally the replacement of an item and important things. Well, in short, yeah, you have to register an item to the button, and then you can use the button while simply playing the game to use that item immediately without going into the bag. So yeah, that's why the registration is mentioned. Yeah, the items and also important things. Then we have the L and R buttons, and so the final part of this page. We have asobi kata, yari kata nado nanika komatta koto ga attara L, R, K, R no botan o oshite kudasai. First and foremost, we have asobi kata. We'll check in a second the accent for kata with this, because it's peculiar. But first and foremost, technically, it's a compound noun. It comes first and foremost from asobu. Actually, asobu, I think, accented, but we'll see. To play games, sports. Can also then, by extension, to enjoy oneself, to have a good time. Yeah, the fundamental meaning would be to play. No, I was correct at first, so unaccented. Asobu. We changed the U into I to make the continuative form. In this case, required because then we had, as mentioned, technically it's a compound noun. To add the second part of the compound, which is kata. Kata means way, method. And yeah, with the continuative form of verbs, put after the continuative form of verbs, it's the way, the method of, the manner of doing the action of the verb. We quickly check its accent. Kata on its own is accent on the last syllable. Yeah, I want to check with these with verbs. I think we might have seen it before, but it's let's check to be sure. Kata. So like, so I can find it here. Okay. Okay, found the part where it should be explained. Okay. Okay, found it. Yeah, kata. It has, well, it depends on the accent of the verb. Unaccented ones, luckily, are simply unaccented. Accented ones can be either accented on the ka of kata, so yeah, on the first syllable, the first mora of the second part of the compound, would make sense. So we've seen that is a tendency, if not straight up a rule. Otherwise, it can be accented on ta, like kata on its own. I'm trying to check if there's. You can see if you can go for whichever one, apparently. Oh, yeah. I'd say maybe keep it easier as an accent on the last syllable. Asobi kata. So yeah, way of playing. Then we have the similar yari kata from yaru, to do, a colloquial form of suru, to do, has several extended meanings, but let's not focus on those for now. We can change the u into e. It's a verb colon verb, so we can change the u into e to make the continuative form, to then add kata again. So yeah, way of doing. Then we have nado again, etc. and so forth. By the way, I wanted to quickly check. Yeah, nado on its own should be accented on na. So yeah, with a word like this one, which would be unaccented, as we have seen for the rules of kata, when added to verbs, we should hear the accent of nado then. But yeah. So yeah, the way of playing, the way of doing, and so on. Then we have nanika. From nani, accented on the first mora. What, the pronoun. Then when we add ka, which is the interrogative particle, to interrogative pronouns like nani, we get the corresponding some word. So in this case, actually, something. If we added it to dare, who, we will get dareka, someone, and so on. Accented on the, still accented on the na. So yeah, something. Then we have komatta, from komaru. It means to be troubled. have difficulty, to be in a fix, to be at a loss, to be stumped, also to be embarrassed by extension, by fundamental meaning, to be troubled. Can also, by extension, be to be bothered, to be inconvenienced, to be annoyed. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is to be troubled. I think accented it is. Yes. It's a verb godan verb, so we can change the to make that form. Actually, like in this case, we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta. Again, most likely because first we actually change the u into i to make the continuative form, then add ta, komari ta, but then the i most likely fell, komar ta, difficult to pronounce, so doubling of the consonant, ta, komatta. Followed by koto, the nominalizer for verbs thing as in matter, unlike mono, thing as in an object, as we have seen above. But yeah, nominalizer for verbs. Technically, here it would be a relative clause up to komatta and then refer to koto. Then we have the subject particle ga. Then we have attara, from aru, to be as in to exist. The one used with inanimate things, so objects, places, concepts, like in this case, actually a nominalized verb. So yeah, we use that verb instead of iru or oru, and so on, to be as in to exist of animate things, people and animals. Aru is also to make that a form, like in this case we have to follow the rules. Another one, verb colon verb in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta again. Technically, I didn't mention that the ta form is the past form of the verb in plain speech, so past form of the verb. Before, in plain speech also used because we had the following nouns or relative clause. In this case, actually, we have also the additional ra. When we add ra to the past form, to the ta form of a verb, we get one of the forms of the conditional. If, when, can also be used in a temporal sense, like in English. The ones in ta put the focus on the action of the verb in tara having happened before the rest of the sentence, what's mentioned after, can happen. Yeah, so that's why we use the ta form, the past form of the verb to make it. But yeah, in this case, if or when there is, there are, we can also translate to be as in to exist, then it becomes also there is, there are in English. But we'll translate it fully when we get to it. Then we have eru, written here with our letters, but yeah, will be pronounced eru. Should be accented like in English, so on the e, yes it is. I think we have seen it before actually in the previous series. Are, so actually becomes aru in Japanese. Accent with a long vowel, this one, be careful, yeah. Accented also on the a, just like in English. In between them, we have ka, which in this case, it's technically it's not the final sentence particle for questions, even though potentially it might be related, because its usage is actually as a or after to list two list alternatives. So L or R is worth mentioning that actually can be found as with a final ka after also the second part. Usually not nowadays, as we can see also here. Also to avoid, then we had another, even more so we had another particle. We'll see in a second. But yeah, most likely actually could be the same origin of the ka for question, the interrogative particle, as in L, question mark, or then implied R, question mark. So yeah, it could be related to that, or at the very least is a way, good way to remember it. But yeah, in this case, simply L or R. Then we have the possessive particle no, to attach those to button. So yeah, the L or R buttons. Yeah, you can see here clearly in the plural, even though we keep button, we don't even use a pluralizing suffix and so on. We don't need to so we don't. Then we have the object particle O. And then we have the verb oste from osu. This we have seen before, unsurprisingly, a lot in Pokémon Snap. But yeah, in general, quite an important verb for video games, because yeah, unaccented osu means to push, both in the sense to push, to thrust, to shove, but also to push a button, to press down, to exert pressure on. Yeah, to push a button. So yeah, typical verbs of typical verb of video games. Osu, unaccented, is a U verb colon verb. So to make the te form, we have to follow the rules like it's in su. So we literally simply change the U into I to make the continuative form, and then add te. The I in she is barely heard if at all, because it's between a voice consonant. That way, oste, still unaccented, like the original verb. The form, in this case, required because then we had kudasai, from kudasaru, a verb of giving, to give. It's honorific, in particular respectful language. We have seen it, actually it's kanji, even though nowadays it's usually written with kana alone. It uses the kanji for down because most likely actually it had a figurative meaning of superior giving to an inferior, potentially also physically in the past, as the superior literally stayed higher, on a higher place than the inferior, and then also figuratively at the very least. But yeah, kudasaru, a verb of giving. When we use verbs of giving after the form of verbs, they become auxiliaries with the meaning to do the favor of doing the action of the verb in te. So yeah, do the favor of pressing, of pushing the button and so on. This one is particular because then which kudasaru is a U verb colon verb. So we will change the U into I to make the continuative form. But this is one of those exceptions. Actually, these exceptions are practically all exclusive to honorific verbs like kudasaru. Most likely, we would follow U into I, kudasari, but then the R fell. So what remains is kudasai. You could also now consider it, drop the ru and add I. But most likely the origin is the one we've mentioned. Continuative form actually because originally we would add masse from mass, as you can see, by changing the U into E. And so yeah, actually like U verb colon verb to make the imperative form of mass in this case. So yeah, imperative form in polite speech. Nowadays, usually simply implied, like in this case, sometimes explicited, but usually implied. So yeah, literally would be, please do the action, do the favor of pushing, and so on. So yeah, simply nowadays, please push. So, imperative in polite speech. Yeah. the translation of this, so we can finally end it, is it's quite long, so it's not easy to see immediately where to start for the translation. Well, we could say first with the conditional or temporal, if when there are, it's worth mentioning that something ga, usually also with someone wa, with the topic particle, something ga aru structure, literally as for that someone, that something exists. There is the something for the someone. As for the someone, the something, there is the something. It's actually a structure used for what corresponds in English to the verb to have. So yeah, an implied as for that someone, not present here, has a something. So in our case, actually would be if implied, if when you, implied you have literally a thing that something that troubles you, that you are troubled by, we could say, but yeah. About, we have to add in English how to play or how to do something and so on. Please, literally do the favor of doing the action of the verb intent. Please push the L or R button. Okay. And yeah, as you can see here, we have actually this part here. We actually even it doesn't make sense to take the pictures here, since unfortunately we can't save after this, immediately after this, as you might remember. So yeah, I'd say we can actually stop here for now, and we'll actually restart from here. We'll have this to check, and what happens after, I have already mentioned actually. Then there's the introduction also of the original, so with Professor Oak. But yeah, we should be able to do that, and so actually start the game next time. So for now, I'll actually close the game like this. And yes, so today we started, quote unquote, we only, as we have seen, we have only checked the intro part, actually the part with the controls, because also we had to study, we checked out the title screen, the title, especially the kanji, we had to study that, so yeah, we took some time because of that. But yeah, then we started checking out the part with the introduction to the controls. We finished that, luckily. But yeah, then we have another intro part additional to FireRed. And then there will be the intro also present in the original. So next time, we should be on Friday as usual, unless plans change. We'll start with those, the intro part we have seen with the Pikachu still left, the original intro of the game. But yeah, we should be able to finish those, so we'll finally pick our protagonist, pick the name of our protagonist and the rival, and then actually start the game and finally save. So yeah, funny enough, next time we'll actually restart from the very start here, but we'll go through the parts we have already checked, of course. But yeah, so next time we hopefully finish all this intro part. Maybe even slightly start the game. Hopefully so, but yeah. Unfortunately, especially with this game, there's this whole part at the start. And also we had to study the kanji, so it took us some time to do that. But yeah, so see you on Friday for that, unless plans change. And yeah, see you next time.